has the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, SM Gibson.
My name is SM Gibson, Gibson, and this is the evening. We are here to get you past the disillusionment of what's going on in this country right now. You are being lied to. Agendas are being sold to you through the media, Hollywood, and the government. It's over. We're done with it. Right now, tonight, we're going to get down to the truth of what's really going on in this world. We're not going to give you any Anderson Cooper BS lines or some Sean Hannity hate. This is about some truth, facts, and information. And if it hurts your feelings, too bad you're listening to the wrong program. It is August the 4th, 2015. So far in this country, 691 Americans have been killed by police officers so far this year. 70 officers have died in the line of duty. But included in those numbers, 19 have died in automobile accidents, 18 have died by gunfire, and 11 have died by heart attack. Your great, wonderful friends over in Saudi Arabia, your great allies that you love so much because of their oil, 110 beheadings so far. 110 beheadings. And with the wonderful gun laws that they have in the city of Chicago, Illinois. 1,643 people have been shot. These gun laws ain't working out too well, are they? 283 homicides so far this year. Joined in the studio tonight, the Iraq War veteran, 3 tours, Mr. Kelvin Jones. Kelvin, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you doing tonight, man?
Doing good. And joined from abroad, he is out on the road tonight. But as always, Mr. Shannon Madden. Shannon, how are you?
Good evening, fellas. How are y'all tonight?
Doing good, Shannon.
You know what? I'm here. I'm not, I'm here. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of these people. They've been brainwashed. They buy into every lie that's been told to them, and it's absolutely ridiculous, Shannon. It's insane what they've been believing and how they want to come at people for telling them the truth. For anybody that is not aware, for about the past few days, we are kind of reliving a situation we had back in January at the release of a film called The American Sniper. No, I won't get into this too much, but I definitely have to address this right now. Everybody online, they get some big balls and want to send people some messages and comments or whatever they want to do and send people threats, and yet these people are so ignorant and they have been brainwashed so hard that they don't want to sit here and read the information presented in front of them. I literally had somebody tell me that even though Chris Kyle lost a $1.8 million lawsuit after he was dead, okay, this is, quote-unquote an American hero, J.C. Ventura proved his case. Somebody said, But Chris Kyle still thought that was Jesse Ventura. He just thought it was him. You know, he was just mistaken. It's like he's the most famous Navy SEAL to ever live. He was governor of a state, but he was mistaken. That's how brainwashed people are. What is wrong with you people? How do you sit here and believe the lies that you've been told? You sit here and worship a flag, and the thing that disgusts me, as a Christian, the majority of these people are Christians. They worship a flag. They worship this disgusting stuff. It's ridiculous to me personally. Shannon, what do you think?
Let me, I've got to jump in here too, because, you know, one of the stories that bothered me the most of all about Mr. Chris Kyle was the story of him supposedly sitting atop the Superdome during Katrina, picking off looters one by one. The United States government has flatly given no confirmation, meaning that they didn't confirm or deny it. So it was redacted from the original pressings of American Sniper, the book. That's why it didn't show up in the film. They kind of glossed that little inconvenient truth over. And if it's true, then, and we've quipped this on the show on numerous occasions, if that is true, that definitely puts him among the most prolific American serial killers that killed American citizens.
Ever.
100% agree.
Ever.
And here's the thing, and if we want to talk about, but everybody in the uniform's a hero. Jeffrey Dahmer served for 2 years in the military. Serial killer.
He most certainly did. Here in Alabama, I might add. Here in Alabama.
Listen, Son of Sam was in the military. Is he a hero? Is Jeffrey Dahmer a hero? Because they both served. And you know what? They still both combined killed less people than Chris Kyle.
Ted Bundy was actually a volunteer for the little, what is it, the police, they have the junior league for police officers or kids that want to be police officers. Ted Bundy received several commendations while he was set up for that when he was a youngster. It's funny how that works.
Isn't it, though? I tell you what, real quick, I want to bring in for just a second a wonderful brother, Manny. Manny, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Basically, I'm doing fine and stuff like that. Just been keeping tabs on a lot of stuff that's going on, including Mexico. We're losing a lot of journalists down there. They're basically doing what you guys are doing, except they're in the field. And people ask me, well, there's no democracy over there. Well, what makes you think you have democracy here? You know, I mean, it's just like, you're right, SM Gibson.
Nobody has democracy anywhere, and everybody's been brainwashed into thinking these narratives. And the thing that infuriates me so much is that they have attached these narratives into like the fiber of their being, and it affects them on an emotional level to the point that they consciously allow their ignorance to take over and say, I don't care about the information. I don't care about the facts. All I'm going to say over and over, sitting here sending things like, you should have been aborted with a blowtorch, or it goes on and on and on. That's great. Cool. Fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
None of those things make Chris Kyle any less of a bastard.
My question is,
so we're doing something special for your Latino listeners today. Estamos en el show de Anti-Media con el conductor SM Gibson y su conductor, básicamente el señor Shannon Manning, que anda ahorita fuera del estudio, y luego tiene a otro hermano allí ahorita en el estudio, SM Gibson. Gracias por todos los likes, que tuvimos 1 millón de likes y todo esto. Sigan escuchando el show de SM Gibson con Shannon Manning, porque básicamente es donde van a oír la verdad en todas las cosas que hablan ellos alrededor del mundo. Muchas gracias. Take it away, SM.
Thank you so much for that, Manny. So,
thank you, Manny. We appreciate it.
What were you saying, Kelvin, real quick?
Well, what I was going to say is, has anybody actually read Chris Kyle's book, all these people who attack you, who come at you for, like, saying things that basically he said? I mean, if he said he was on the Superdome killing American citizens.
Though the Superdome story was not in the book, that is still something that he repeated multiple times. He said it, and then he also gave the story about killing the 2 people in Texas at a gas station. And people want to overlook this and say, well, he's still a hero because, he served his country and was in the military.
Didn't you see that movie? Didn't both of y'all see that movie? That movie was incredible. It was heart-wrenching. Did you see the sneer in those Muslim people's eyes? Those people are killers. They're bastards. Chris Kyle has protected and saved us. Oh, man, it's awesome. It's beautiful. Clint Eastwood's worst directorial job, hands down. Hands down.
Hey, you forget that 19 of the 19 hijackers for 9/11 were all Iraqis. Saddam Hussein was up at the front of the bus driving it right through.
I know. With one hand on the steering wheel and one finger on the button that had all of those weapons of mass destruction back home, right?
Right, that's exactly what happened. So it's a great thing we just blew away a bunch of innocent Iraqis because, Saddam Hussein was driving those planes. It wasn't 15 and 19 hijackers were Saudi Arabian. It wasn't the Bin Laden.
Whoa. They weren't innocent. You saw the same movie that I did. Did you see how evil those people were? Did you see the sneer? It wasn't even a sneer on their face, the sneer in their eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, what were we thinking? Why didn't we take care of this in 1991 when Daddy Bush went over there? Give me a break. What kind of brainwashed nonsense is this?
Well, my question once again is: have people actually read his book or listened to anything he said? Didn't he say he took pleasure in killing?
Yes, and in the articles, he's literally quoted from his book.
Great pleasure.
And he said he wished he would have killed more. And the thing, I'm telling you, and this is why it's such my trigger. There's so many things that go on in the world. This is literally the issue at this point. Chris Kyle is dead. It's not about Chris Kyle. It has nothing to do with Chris Kyle. What it has to do with are these people that are so stupid, they're brainwashed, and they feed into the system. And what Chris Kyle is a point of where it meets, right? And these people's moronic, brainwashed, they have been indoctrinated beliefs all come together, and it shows how ridiculous they truly are.
Not only that, but how racist they are, how hateful they are, and how much murder lies in their own heart when they come out and see a movie like that and instantly come out and cheering, and I wish all ragheads were dead right now. That's got me fired up. I actually saw a Facebook post. My own eyes saw a Facebook post of people that I quickly befriended, I might add, that said the same exact thing that we saw on Twitter feeds throughout all of the news organizations everywhere about it. Ones that actually reported in a negative light.
I have seen the word raghead more time in the past 5 days than I've ever seen in my life. People coming at me over whatever they're talking about and having sex with donkeys and blah, 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 blah. People talking to me. I mean, we're talking some vile stuff. And to me, clearly that language dictates something else. But I'm not going to say every single person that got mad at that article was a racist because, again, you can't make these blanking opinions about anybody in any way, shape, or form. Even
if they are idiots, yeah.
Oh, there's no doubt they're idiots. To me, there was one veteran that reached out to me, okay, and he was very upset about the article, and I sent him my response, and he came back at me, and he apologized very profusely to me, and he said, you know what, I really believe that what you were saying was just attacking the troops, and you had this, liberal opinion against the troops. He said, and I read what you had to say. He said, you were very objective. It was about one personal person. And he goes, I don't disagree with you, and I thank you for what you're doing. And again, I want to apologize for how I came at you.
But don't you think that's part of the problem? So, that people, if you attack one troop, you're attacking them all, You're going after an individual.
That is what people think. If you say one thing about one troop, guess what? Jeffrey Dahmer was a serial killer. Did I just say something bad about all the troops? He was a serial killer.
And again, about washed brain, people are washed brain. It's like religion. Religion is one of the biggest terrors out here because people I just had a friend that we were discussing about, she's ready to vote for Donald Trump. And I'm like, what? You're kidding me.
Absolutely.
And she's Mormon, by the way, just to let you know. But come on, dude, really?
I tell you what, area code 478, welcome to Anti-Media Radio. I am your host, SM Gibson. What is your name and where are you calling from tonight?
Huh?
What is your name and where you're calling from tonight?
My name's Tyson Stubler, and I'm calling in from Boise, or Meridian, Idaho. It's a suburb of Boise.
Fantastic. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I was actually listening to another broadcast that apparently is the wrong one. It must be a playover or something like that. But I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I know a lot of stuff about conspiracy theories, spirituality. I'm going to let you start. In fact, you're the host, so.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, we know a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff, but we're going to sit here and kind of continue along the path we're talking about how people aren't paying attention to what's going on in the world. You know, it's about this hate. It's about this brainwashing mentality. People don't pay attention to anything that goes on. People want to ignore the facts. That's the thing that infuriates me the most, is ignoring the facts.
Well, people don't like facts. It scares them.
That's exactly what
Puts them out of their comfort zone.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm sitting next to somebody that did 3 tours in Iraq, okay? 3 tours. Do you believe Chris Kyle was a hero just because...
No, that'd be idiotic to say anybody's a hero just because you wear a uniform and give them a gun. And that's idiotic to me, right? That's a mob mentality right there to me. And, I mean, why does everybody think he's a hero? Can I ask you that? What did he do that...
Because he was a sniper that killed 160 people officially, but supposedly the unofficial number is 255.
But he also bragged about killing American citizens.
Yes, he did.
And that does not make him a hero in my book. I don't care if he put the uniform on like me or not. That doesn't make him a hero.
So why do you think...
Now,
go ahead.
I have to argue this just for a second. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Okay, let's say he did attack American citizens, and the United States military sent him there to do that. What's your feeling on that?
Well,
we're supposing for a moment, because, again, the Department of Defense has pretty much issued a non-statement on that. We can neither confirm nor deny. You know how they do.
This is my... I mean, why would... You know, like, just being in conspiracies or not, was the situation in New Orleans, did it really call for a sniper, an elite sniper, to pick off citizens who were looking for food, water?
The greatest sniper that ever graced the uniform, according to Clint Eastwood.
According to them, like, was that really required to stop a few looters? And I hate when people say a lot of people are looting, you know, and I don't want to be on Kanye's side, but a lot of people really were just looking for water, food, and stuff like that. You know, in that type of situation.
The military, well, listen, there were police and military going from house to house confiscating guns during Katrina. We know that.
Yes.
What was that all about, in your opinion?
Well, I think, you know... Because,
you know what that was all about.
Right. When there's civil unrest going on, the last thing they want are people to have weapons to fight in a situation, and they wanted to contain everything right away.
Or at least shoot an alligator so they can drag it in the house and eat for a couple days.
And listen, everybody on this show knows me, and they know the last thing on any situation that I ever go to is race, because I still think we're all people, and we all have hate in our hearts or love in our hearts, whatever it is. And I don't like...
Nobody's perfect.
I don't like going to the race thing, but I do believe there may be something to the fact the 2 people that Kyle killed in Texas were supposedly Mexican. And if anybody's ever been to New Orleans, I'm going to go ahead and guess those 30 people he picked off were probably not white.
They were probably not Mexicans either.
Exactly.
Okay. I also want to mention, as a veteran, that I saw more racism in the military than I thought I would be treated equally because I'm wearing the green uniform like everybody else. But unfortunately, that was just a dream, you know, stuff like that. It's just... That wasn't the way it was, you know, and it's kind of sad, you know. So I'm very, very, you know, not too crazy about the military anyway and stuff like that, you know.
I'm a veteran.
Also, I wanted to mention to Shannon, Matt, and brother, you got to stop eating that damn Miracle Whip, okay? All right, take it away.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But I agree with you on that statement, man. Like, you know, you think you go to the military and it'll be all even Stevens. It's not. It's because people are people. You know what I mean?
That's it.
And that goes back to, like, what I was saying. Just because that guy put on a uniform doesn't make you a hero. You know. And you know, people aren't gonna like that. People are gonna attack you for that. But just because you can put a uniform on and be a serial rapist. You know what I mean? Are you still a hero because you have?
Oh yeah, we've had quite a few of those too.
I mean, we have, and we're sitting here trying to deal with the situation. Okay, look at the military right now, and me and Kellen were talking about this earlier in the day, that the military is in a situation where they get upset because, you know, the government's coming after them, that they can't police themselves anymore because there's been so many rapes. Go ahead and expound upon that.
Well, I've been in like some meetings where they're worried, you know.
You were personally in meetings?
Personally, yeah.
Okay.
You know, we better, you know, we need to, but, you know, they're telling soldiers you need to behave a little more, you know, watch what you're doing here because they're trying to take away our ability to police ourselves. You know, my whole thing is when you police yourselves, you're going to look out for who you want to look out for and who you want to throw under the bus, you want to throw under the bus. So me personally, I don't think it's a bad thing if an outside agency polices the military or the army, which is what I was a part of, because you can't have the police policing themselves. It never turns out good. You know what I mean?
It doesn't.
Well, and that probably leads into our next story here in Madison County, Alabama. I don't know if everybody's been keeping up with this story. I haven't seen anything in the national media about this. This is a pretty wild story.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Alabama,
real quick, Shannon,
yeah,
real quick,
go ahead.
for the listeners, this is something we have not covered yet on the antimedia.org. This is coming very soon. This is a very extensive story that we'll be coming out with very soon, but kind of give everybody the rundown real quick of what's going on.
Yeah, this is wild. Here in Madison County, Alabama, which is also notorious for the recent beating of a Indian elderly gentleman outside of his son's home, or his grandson's home, in Madison County, was basically detained, beat down. We covered the story. In that same county, we have a deputy with the sheriff's office. Deputy's name is, let me look over my notes here, Mr. Justin Watson. Justin Watson went into a bar in Madison County back in 2011 and basically went in there with this, cute little girl. Fellow was sitting there playing pool with his buddies, a fellow by the name of Robert Bryant. And he happened to look over at the pretty girl that walked in. Well, the very intoxicated fellow that she was with, Deputy Watson, he was kind of ticked off about it a little bit and went over and approached Mr. Bryant. They got into a little bit of a scuffle, a little wrestling. Mr. Bryant apparently got the better of him, according to eyewitnesses. The bar owner came from around the bar and broke the fight up and basically sent everybody out of the bar. You're drunk, you're fighting in my bar, everybody get out. Well, Deputy Watson decided he would, kind of hang back and explain to the bar owner that he was a off-duty deputy and that he should be treated differently and should be allowed to stay in the bar and continue to drink because he wasn't. He's law enforcement and he's entitled to do things like that. And they were hollering at my girl, whatever. Well, he still wound up kicking Deputy Watson out of the bar. Well, Madison County starts patrolling in his parking lot. He notices that Madison County's there pretty much just about every day, which they had never been before. It was kind of a new thing suddenly. They just popped up in his parking lot and just kind of stayed camped out there. Well, apparently they were looking for Mr. Bryant, and there's a full investigation, which will be included in the story, about it. They kind of finally found him. A different deputy pulled him over for a illegal lane change, where we heard that from before. Went ahead and actually pulled him out of the vehicle, put him in handcuffs, spun him around and said, "Do you know who I am?" And he said, "No, I don't know who you are." And the guy sucker punched him so hard it knocked his teeth out.
Oh, wow.
Well, he went ahead and called Deputy Watson to the scene. Deputy Watson waited for him to regain consciousness and then continued to beat him some more. They hauled him in on trumped-up charges. The man was rather despondent. He was just a handyman, not a rich fellow. Couldn't hire a high-powered attorney to go after this case, and he was getting railroaded. Well, he did work for a fellow by the name of Jason Kalinowski. Jason Kalinowski was, a well-to-do fellow that employed him as a handyman at his property from time to time. Well, he saw him, noticed that his face was all beat up, and asked him a few questions about what had happened. He told him the whole story, and he decided to go ahead and get personally involved. And activism. Went ahead and helped him hire an attorney, was helping him with the cost of the attorney. was printing up flyers and signs and T-shirts all around town telling everybody about these rogue and corrupt cops. Well, Mr. Klanowski was found in his barn in 2013 while all the litigation was going on. Was posed in a chair in his barn. They determined that he was killed somewhere else and put in the chair after the fact. And that case is still unsolved, I might add, strangely enough. Police policing the police.
No, Shannon, that's not true. Listen, there's police.
Sorry, man, it's a matter of public record now. I wish I could say I'm making it up, but there's facts to corroborate. So at that time, there was also a civil lawsuit by Mr. Bryant against Madison County. The county wisely decided to go ahead and waive the trial, no witnesses heard, no evidence heard in that civil trial, and awarded him a settlement of $625,000. They quietly fired Deputy Watson, and they kind of did their quote-unquote internal investigation, and that was pretty much about the size of it. Well, that was until the FBI decided to step in, and now they've officially indicted on 5 charges Deputy Watson. And we still, now, and again, they've indicted him on charges of the actual police brutality and the, of course, the illegal detainment, so on and so forth, like they should have been doing all along in all these cases that we keep talking about over and over and over and over and over again. And we still have no word on the Klanowski murder at all. So that's I'm sure it's going to be forthcoming. So that's where we're at with that. And tremendous, just, abuse of power yet again with these corrupt cops.
How many
Your thoughts?
How many cops have actually been killed this year versus the amount of citizens that have been killed?
691 versus 70 deaths. But listen, the 70 deaths is first off, death is death. And I'm not one of these people that's just like, screw the cops, I hope they die. I'm not that guy at all. But we have 691 Americans that have been killed by the police versus 70 deaths by law enforcement. But that does include 19 automobile accidents.
Okay.
11 heart attacks. Like, they're including everything in these stats.
Okay.
18 gunshots. So 18
cops have actually been shot by another.
There's some, there's 2 from like vehicular homicide kind of stuff, but it breaks down. But those are the 3 biggest stats is the 19 by auto accident, and that's not vehicular homicide stuff. That's just literally them getting in car accidents. But 18 gunfire versus 691.
Wow. How many American citizens have actually been killed by ISIS?
I'm going with, is it 0 or
I think the number's 0.
I think there was I think the James Foley, I think they.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's no more than 5, 10.
Okay. That's.
How many American citizens have been killed by, let's say, Saudi Arabian hijackers?
Well, Shannon.
We're friendly with them, aren't we?
Shannon, those Saudis, they have oil.
First off, those Saudis work for Saddam Hussein.
Yeah. So does Iraq.
Right, exactly. We forgot that they were mortal enemies, but they worked for each other because of weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, like a super laser pointed towards America.
That's it.
Singing the Cobra theme song from G.I. Joe.
You nailed it. And that's something else we need to address is the fear-mongering that goes on. And we've talked about it at great length. I know me and Shannon definitely have. With ISIS and the whole thing, it's fear. They're pumping fear through you. Kelvin, you were in Iraq 3 different times. Was it the scariest, most horrible group of people you've ever met? Were they all trying to come get Americans' freedom?
No, for the most part, your average Iraqi citizen was just like anybody here trying to live the life.
And let's take that and just say the average Iraqi citizen was just like us. Let's talk about the insurgents for a second, okay?
Okay.
Because Chris Kyle loves to use the word insurgents in his book and how he killed them and he wished he killed more. But, the good Christian man thinks that's a hero. Whatever. We all know why that aggravates me. Because, whatever.
I understand.
So, the insurgents, do you believe that they were just groups of terrorists in this country? Or did we go over and invade a country and they said, no, I don't care for this, and they shot back?
I'm going to ask you a question. Let's say, I'm going to just throw this story. Let's flip it the other way. Let's say if Iraq or any other, let's just say China. I'm not even going to say Iraq. Let's say China, for instance, decided to invade the great state of Alabama, for instance. And they were telling everybody you had to be in at a certain time. You have to do this. You have to do that. Do you think these good old boys in Alabama will put up with that, or would there be some resistance?
Shannon, what do you think?
Well, as long as they don't take our Confederate flags away, I think we'll be all right. They're manufactured in China anyway. I'm sorry. Did I say all that out loud? Excuse me.
You didn't think any of that, man. It was all out loud.
I'll save that for a different episode.
But no, I look at this is how and I did something that I think a lot of Americans, a lot of soldiers don't do. I look at it from another person's perspective. You're in their country telling them what to do, how to do. You do like missile strikes on a building, has all this collateral damage.
Tell me about what you were telling me about earlier. As far as there would be one person in a building, and how would they go about?
Hellfire missile, my friend, straight into that building. Who cares about the collateral damage? We got the terrorists.
So, you literally have experienced.
Oh, I've seen video of that all the time, man.
One person they wanted, and they would literally take a missile and fire it into a building.
No, it doesn't even have to be one person. I'm not going to say that. Let's say it was 3 people that we're looking for. But when you fire a missile into a building, does it just kill those 3 people? Does it just destroy that building even? You know what I mean?
No. And I'm not even in the military, and I know that.
And once you do that, you've just created 100 more terrorists. If you want to even call them that, you've got 100 more people who aren't on your side because you've just destroyed this area. Their grandma might have been in there
you killed their family, you killed family members, you killed neighbors,
people had nothing to do with the guy you were looking for. The guy you were looking for could have been really, genuinely a bad guy.
Right.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
But the amount of force used to deal with that genuine bad guy is not, it's not equivalent to
blowing up an entire city block to get him.
Yeah.
And look at, and people overlook this because they're like, but if that was the case, then we would have heard about it on the news. Why would you hear about that?
You wouldn't hear about it on the news, but you always hear about us rebuilding Iraqis' infrastructure, about us,
What was there to rebuild if we didn't blow it up?
Exactly. And people remember
we blew up what we wound up building anyways, if you want to get down to it. You trace the Iraqi that we just completely decimated and destroyed back a little further and see who put that Iraq into place. Fellow by the name, what was his name again? Saddam Hussein. How did he get into power again? I can't remember.
I don't think we had anything to do with
Donald Rumsfeld and Saddam Hussein just happened to meet at a Chuck E. Cheese one night. That's where those pictures came from.
I wonder what the Iraqi Chuck E. Cheese would have looked like.
Before Saddam, probably pretty nice, or with Saddam, probably pretty nice. As you know,
instead of jumping in the little like the pin full of balls, you're jumping in like a pin full of jewels and diamonds and stuff. Yeah.
To clarify something, look, nobody here is suggesting that Saddam Hussein was some nice, great guy. He was not at all.
No,
he wasn't.
Asshole. He was an asshole, and who put him into power?
Right.
Who put him into power? Who was responsible for? Who was ultimately responsible for Saddam Hussein?
We were, and here's the problem. And people forget this. People overlook this. This is like not even history. It's present day America. It's present day global. Everything that's going on in the world. Go look at it first off with Iran, okay? We overthrew Iran in the 50s, right? We installed a dictatorship. They get pretty upset about that because things got really bad, and then they overthrew it in the late 70s with Jimmy Carter, blah, 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 that whole situation.
Yeah. Billy Beer.
So we're talking about the United States wants freedom, but look at Saudi Arabia, okay? What they say Iran is, and they're, against this and against that. That's why every episode I tell people how many people Saudi Arabia has beheaded so far this year. So far it's 110. Because you know what? They're the most oppressive country in that region. And we say we're fighting
for, freedom. But the most
Well, that's why we're at war with Saudi Arabia, right? Oh, wait a minute.
No, they got that. What is it? What's that stuff we're addicted to in this country? Oil.
Right. They got some of that, don't they?
Yeah, you got a little bit of it.
So the most oppressive country in the region, we're best friends with over there. And nobody even addresses any of this. Because it's like, well, whatever. 15 of the 19... What planet are we living on? Literally, George Orwell, I'm convinced at this point, was a physical prophet on this planet. That wasn't just some book. That's where we're living at. That happened, and that's where we're living.
Well, he was either a prophet or an accidental architect, one of the two.
Well, I think there may be some truth to that a little bit, too. And that's even more terrifying.
Ding!
Very terrifying.
Well, that's the reason Venezuela, the people always hear bad things about Venezuela because Venezuela doesn't jump when the United States tells them to jump. And, this is how I said to the United States because when we talk on the show about America put Saddam in, America put Saddam in Iraq, I'd rather hear you guys say Northern Americans put him in. So I want people to think the Latin American people put him in, and stuff like that. So I like to say the USA or North America because when you say Americans put Saddam in there, I don't want you to blame Mexico for it because we're from Latin America, stuff like that. And look at the thing with Libya, for instance, Gaddafi. They didn't want him to take power because he was ready to start his own, World Bank and stuff like that. And that was kind of rocked the boat everywhere, bottom line.
You're absolutely right about that. And here's the thing, too. Think about, we're sitting here talking about just the Middle East. This has happened way outside of the Middle East. Let's talk about South America for a second. How many times did we go into South America and install dictatorships, and that was cool because they were doing what we wanted?
Yeah, exactly. Serve our agenda.
The United States is all about controlling in countries that are very unstable. If you're westernized, we can deal with you, we can work with it, we can all be on the same team, and we can control the world together. But if you're a very unstable country and there's rebels in the country, the United States goes in and they install dictatorships. That's
well, wait a minute. So you're saying that right now, possibly, that Mexico's probably got a lot of American military equipment flowing through there right now? Manny, you want to comment on that?
Oh, yeah. There's just so much equipment right now that, you would think that Mexico's going to start a war with somebody, and I'm not sure, because they're basically creating a war against our own people down there, which is really sad, and that's why the United States has blood in their hands, because they can't pretend it's not happening, because it is happening and stuff like that, and it's just the only thing, the United States never expected the cartels to be big and stuff like that, and people are going to be trusting the cartels more than the damn government. So it's going to be...
Well, the cartel's in power because of America's backwoods ass drug laws. Let's go ahead and get that on the table right now. Go ahead and push it away.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things we have to mention, too, is we cannot say that the United States is not the biggest drug dealer in the world, because they are. They basically, it's what it's all about in Peru, you name it, and stuff like that. And one of the things that I heard from Venezuela today is that people down there are getting tired that the United States, the NSA, controls, and monitors 90% of the communications around the world. That's kind of actually freaky, to be honest with you.
That's absolutely true. And I tell you what, I want to go ahead and throw this quick stat out there about the something me and you were talking about last week, Shannon, with the CISA/CISPA all thing going through. Homeland Security has come out, by the way, and admitted that, all that stuff that, we help with your property protections and all that, they've admitted if this goes through, all that's out the window. We already know it's already out the window now because of the Freedom Act, but they're admitting all that, progress, whatever, it's all over. It's so it's not even just the illusion anymore. They're just saying, yeah, you're screwed. Patriot Act back again.
Yeah, not just go ahead and bend over the table, but go ahead and grip it too, because we're here. We're here for the long haul.
We know what we have in reality, but people don't want to admit it. When they start coming out and think about it, when the government admits something, how much worse is it? That's what's so terrifying. People don't want to address any concept of what's really going on because they get so emotionally involved into these things that have been instilled of them since they were children. Congratulations, you went to school and you looked at a piece of cloth and you saluted it. Congratulations, your family members did fight against evil and Hitler. They did, and they fought in World War I, and they fought these wars, and some were warranted, some weren't. Hitler was one. Well, that's a whole different story. And but we're at a day and age that no country has physically threatened the United States whatsoever, at all, period. At all. And I don't care how crazy people want to call me, whatever, conspiracy theorists. Let's talk about this. There was a third building on the day of 9/11, a third building that collapsed in itself in its own footprint. How did that happen? Can somebody tell me how that happened real quick?
What building are you talking about?
You're talking about the Pentagon when it got hit by that plane that they found all those pieces of the wreckage of, remember?
Okay, we're talking about, at least in Pennsylvania, right? They said that the plane hit so hard in Pennsylvania, the plane disintegrated. And that's why you don't see the plane. And yet...
Wow.
And wait, they did, though. Luckily, thank God, the plane disintegrated, but the passports of the terrorists survived, so they picked that up out of the wreckage.
Destroyed this.
Yeah, the plane's gone, disintegrates, but the passport survived. I'm not going to sit here and claim I know what happened. But I know this. I know what didn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the laws of physics, tell you about certain things, and I don't think a plane really could have hit and it disintegrated the whole plane.
I mean, that's what they say. There's just a giant hole with smoke coming out.
They should make planes out of whatever they made those passports out of.
No kidding. That's what I've always said. The plane should have been made out of the passport. Because it survived.
Yeah.
And we can sit here and everybody has their own speculation and people jump to conclusions about, well, it was this, it was Bush, it was that. I don't know. I'm going to be sitting here and be honest with you and tell you I don't know. What I do know is there were so many lies and so much cover-up. Nobody knows the truth. Nobody. But I don't believe anything that the government's told me at this point. I know that much.
Man, that's a lot. That's heavy, man. And I agree with you a lot on it. You can't believe a lot. Like, have you paid attention to the story about the welfare recipients and the drug testing?
Oh man, that's absolutely crazy. And really, that
ties into what we're talking about.
It absolutely does, and that's something that's what coming out of Arizona. They caught one guy.
One guy. They spent
$1.7 million. I think they spent to catch one guy and say $560 or something.
Yep, catch one guy. And what is that? What do you think that's about? Is that some kind of propaganda machine? Do you think that everybody on welfare is a drug addicted loser, or? Because are drugs cheap enough?
What I really think. What I think is if you are sitting here and you're exacerbating the situation of drugs are completely evil, and I'm not sitting here telling anybody anywhere to do drugs.
No.
But what I am saying is it keeps the drug war going, because if you have laws in place...
Drug war is big business.
Exactly. The drug war is big business. And if you have laws in place that kind of, lean against what the drug war is to kind of support what the drug war is and saying, oh, no, these drugs are so bad that we have to have these laws, then that's definitely going to kind of reiterate more how bad they are and how much we need the drug war more. And so...
a failed war, by the way.
Well, I
failed monumentally.
Anybody that doesn't think the drug war has failed doesn't know anything. But it's the same thing with Chris Kyle. You're not stupid. You're either uninformed, which there's a lot of people out there that are. So it's not like everybody that believes the drug war is. You're either uninformed and hopefully you will become informed.
Yeah.
And that's what this show is about, to inform people. Or you've heard the information, you've heard all the facts, and you just put your head in the sand and just scream, red, white, and blue, over and over and over.
Yeah, think about it. There's a lot of conflict of interest. The governor of Florida, for instance, they're trying to get welfare recipients to take, you have to take a drug test now to get
Is it possible that he owned a part of the company that was doing that?
Well, he had 26% in it. Well, his wife actually owned
No. He gave that 26% to his wife because he wanted to remain above board. His wife, the one that he's currently still with, that shares the bed with him, that also shares finances with him, and once he's not governor anymore, he can take that 26% back. Yeah, that guy. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, they're making millions off of that. When you say
millions.
I want to drug test somebody, everybody just thinks a drug test isn't free. That's an expensive thing. And a lot of big businesses, a lot of corporations now here in America are actually getting rid of the drug testing, requirement to get a job now. Back in the day, it was like, a big thing, 80s, 90s. You got to be drug tested to work at this crappy minimum wage job. And a lot of people, a lot of corporations are figuring out, what? Most of our employees are not drug addicts, and we are wasting a monumental amount of money on testing these people.
And that's it. And ultimately, it goes back to money. Who's making the money? Who's losing the money? And I think the reason corporations are stepping away from some of that, is because they know they're losing money. And yet at the same time, the people who are going to push this through know they stand to make money from it, just like Rick Scott in Florida.
Yep. And nobody ever looks at what makes somebody do. I looked up a statistic earlier today, and it was like, perhaps like out of our population, people who are considered drug addicts, it is probably about maybe 9, maybe 10% of our population who are addicted to drugs, who are addicted. And we criminalize these people instead of getting them help. I think you should treat an addict as a sickness because, once you this is the thing about the war on drugs. A lot of addicts go to jail with violent criminals, go to prison. And when they come out, they're a felon.
Oh, listen, there's somebody that me and you both grew up with. The nicest, most wonderful person you've ever met, would never hurt anybody in their life. Ended up getting on a very, very, very strong, hard drug and went to prison for it.
I know who you're talking about.
Came out of that situation.
Yep.
And said, the only thing prison taught me was how to break the law to keep this running.
Makes you a better criminal.
That's it.
That's right.
And somebody who wasn't a criminal, because you're doing drug, in my opinion, if you're addicted to a drug, that doesn't make you a criminal. I hate to use this phrase about like if it's only hurting you or whatever, but if you're not causing bodily harm to another person, or you're not pushing things on other people, I don't think you should necessarily be in prison with a lot of people who are violent offenders, people who are really criminals, and you went there because you had a habit that didn't fit into society. And no, I'm not saying drugs are good. I'm not saying that. I think it's a problem. I think it should be dealt with, but I don't think it should be dealt with as a criminal problem. Because you put somebody...
Brother, the reason it's not dealt, basically, you got to remember, helping these people, there's no profit in it. Taking them to jail, the prison system is a big profit and all that. It's like cures for cancer and all that. There's a lot of cures for cancer. There's no doubt about it. Even in Mexico, there's cure for cancer. But the deal is, the United States government tells Mexico, make sure you don't treat these people because it's $1 billion business, cancer. It's a business. It's not even a disease. You know what I'm talking about, bro.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about because there is no money in the cure. You want to keep these people on?
I'm glad y'all brought this up because a friend of mine actually pointed this out to me within the past couple of days that Japan has and uses the same cure for cancer that you're probably talking about. There have been some holistic medicine doctors here in America. Very recently, there's been a string of deaths of the holistic doctors that are working outside of Big Pharma to obtain this. It's actually a molecule that's found naturally in the human body that they've been able to isolate and put into a medication. And usually a 5 to 6 month treatment has an 80% success rate. It knocks it out, wipes it completely out. And there's a lot of other cures that apparently this cancer treatment and ailments that are quote unquote untreatable that we know of, that it also treats as well, such as HIV, even some mundane like the herpes virus and warts and things like that. It's very unusual, and Big Pharma is doing everything that they can to keep it out of the hands of American citizens.
No money.
Number one, and number two, why are all these holistic doctors coming up dead all of a sudden? That's another source of money.
I tell you what, man. Sorry, we're going to bring on right now area code 313. Welcome to Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, SM Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight. Looks like we dropped that call, Shannon. So, yeah, go ahead and continue with your statement.
Well, that was pretty much about the size of it. We do have, Manny's absolutely right, we have a cure for cancer. And Big Pharma is doing everything in their power to keep that cure for cancer happening, because cancer is a huge, huge business in the United States. Huge business.
But anything that makes money, think about it this way. Anything that makes a lot of money, they have a cure for, and they don't want to find that, because look at oil. I think this is a great example, and you can compare it to that. We can not be dependent on oil anymore. You can run vehicles off of completely different things. You can run energy off of completely different things.
Off kitchen grease. You can run a car off kitchen grease.
But you know what? All the money is in the oil, so anytime there's a technology that pulls itself up to the forefront, it's like, okay, this is happening now, it's over. They kill it because they keep running the world off of the exact same thing to keep the money rolling in. I mean, again, there was a car in 1973, an Opel. It was a car from 1959 that was built. It got like 300 miles to the gallon. And you're telling me in 2015 we've sent a man to the moon, we've done all this crap, blah, 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 whatever they say we've done, and yet my car says gets 15 miles to the gallon? Give me a break. What planet do you think I woke up on? You telling me that we can get an airplane from L.A. to New York in 45 minutes and my car gets 45 or 15 miles to the gallon? Give me a break. How stupid do they think we are?
Well, just give me a call next time you go to the gas station and tell me how stupid you are.
I'll
probably be saying it at the gas pump too.
You said it. I mean, you know.
You know what? I think things in the future will get better in that regard, because I don't know if you guys know about Tesla Motors or whatnot, but these guys, these guys are actually, their patents. They're making them public domain where anybody can use it. Yep. Actually, the Tesla car is a bit expensive. It's not in the reach right now of your average consumer.
Here's the government. Okay, here's something about the government that everybody needs to understand. It doesn't matter if it is medication. It doesn't matter if it is drugs. It does not matter if it is welfare. It does not matter if it is oil. The government wants you dependent on something that is going to make somebody they're involved with and inadvertently, backhandedly them, rich. That's it.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about. They want you dependent on something that's going to keep giving them money. And it could be a ton of things.
Them, their friends, their corporate donors, everybody.
That's it, and that's what war is. Well, fear. Here's some more fear. Here's some more fear. Get scared. They're coming to get you. You're dependent on the war because you're so scared you don't need these people coming in your country to kill you. And they create these dependencies in people's minds, and some of it's not in people's minds with oil or with lots of things, However they can get away with it, they get away with it, but they got to keep the money rolling in.
Exactly. Like I'm a person that's bad business for the government because they subsidize, the meat and the produce. They don't do produce or anything. They don't supply the farmers that are growing vegetables with any money, but the cattle business and all that. So being a vegetarian, I'm bad for business. Yeah.
Absolutely. I tell you what, I want to go ahead and bring Chase on the line. Chase in Birmingham, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good, SM. How are you?
I can't complain.
Hey, Matty, what's it up? Hey, what's up, man? What's up?
So what's on your mind tonight, Chase?
Oh, man, I was just listening in, man. I haven't called in a while. I figured I'd call in for a minute. But, yeah, man, and I agree. I mean, they got to keep the money rolling in. I mean, they got to keep the like, especially drugs. With drugs, I was actually listening to Nick's show last night, and they were talking about that. I mean, the drug war could be ended in the matter of a day. I mean, it really could. I mean, it's all it is. It's just to keep the it's drug economy. Because, you know, drugs is as good as gold. I mean, it pretty much is as good as gold. I mean, you know, it sounds crazy, and this would never happen, but I mean, they could end the drug war easily. The drug war could be ended easily by legalizing the plants, not just marijuana. And then this is a little extreme, and people are like, oh, that's crazy. But you got to think about it. Addicts are already getting the drugs anyways.
That's true.
But I mean, they could end the drug war by legalizing the poppy plant and the coca plant. Cut out the dealer. Cut out all the people making millions of dollars or making the money. Cut out the dealer. You put the money. You take and just legalize it. This sounds kind of crazy, but the addicts are going to get it anyways.
Oh, no, they won't. Laws work. Laws work. Since they've got these laws in place, Chase, nobody does drugs anymore, don't you know?
Yeah.
Nobody does these drugs anymore.
Yeah, because drugs are illegal. I mean, all of those laws have made drugs completely out of everybody's reach.
Yeah.
But it's made people who own private prisons billions.
I tell you what, real quick. We got 5 minutes left, so I want to go ahead and start winding this up real quick. Manny, lead us some parting words before we get off the show tonight.
What would you say? What did you ask me?
We got about 5 minutes left, so give us some parting words before we get off the show tonight.
Well, the parting words, just, basically keep on doing some good out there. As an activist, obviously, I'm always out there. I don't just talk about it. And I tell these young people to, start thinking for themselves. And also want to tell all the young people that basically always, don't basically assume anything. Just always, ask the question. Don't say, oh, well, yes, I believe you and all that. Look for yourself, investigate for yourself, and never stop, basically challenging authority. Think for yourself and keep on going.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for calling in. Thank you so much for educating everybody out there. Shannon, tell us what you got.
Yes, sir.
I know you got some words.
Yeah, I got some words. Chris Kyle is not the hero that you think he is. The American government
he ain't the hero.
is not the all-loving, all-powerful entity, being, deity, whatever you want to worship in that. You don't need the government. You don't need Chris Kyle. It's time to start thinking for ourselves and loving one another. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
So Shannon, what do we do? Okay, we're thinking for ourselves, but we know, you know as well as I do, we've got all these crazy psychopaths that are probably crazier than he ever was, that read a headline and it offends them, so they're going to threaten your whole family.
Or better yet, go watch a movie and come out of that movie talking about, I want to kill every raghead that I see.
Right, and that's
let's try that kind of mouth-breathing philosophy for half a moment.
And that's it, and that's what we hear. But, all we can do is try to educate the population. At the end of the day, we can't take responsibility for every single person on this planet, because everybody, regardless of the country they were born in, or the color of their skin, or even the amount of money they were born with, we all make our own decisions, and we have to sit here and stop having these scapegoats and saying, well, this person's this because of this, or this person's this because of this. Kellen, we got a couple minutes left. Just give us some parting words real quick.
Parting words, this is going to seem really strange, but I want everybody out there, if you haven't seen it, I'm a little bit biased in this because I'm a fan of this guy, but watch a movie called Serenity. It's a sci-fi movie, but it shows just how far a government can go if given the opportunity. I'm not going to ruin the plot or anything, but everybody check that movie out. It's really informative, but just watch it. It's sci-fi, but I could see our government trying to do what they try to do in this movie. But check that out.
I got a better one for you than that, Calvin. How about Idiocracy? Because I think that's a little bit more to the point.
Well, I tell you what. We're going to be back on Thursday night. Tomorrow, the great and wonderful Nick Burnaby will be on UCY.TV. See you Thursday night, ladies and gentlemen. Keep the love.
Peace.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go.